Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is said to be a Star Wars film by director J.J. Abrams that will introduce many different pieces of Jedi and Sith lore that will be used in order to benefit many of the main characters like Kylo Ren and Rey in this story. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. So that's one exciting aspect of Episode 9, is that we will be getting a lot of Jedi and Sith lore in this film that most certainly is going to be expanded on in, of course, the forms of books, novels, video games, comic books, you name it. And I think that at the end of the day, the center of the Star Wars universe, really is all about the Jedi, the Sith, the Force itself, and I think that really is the glue of the Star Wars franchise, and that's exactly why J.J. Abrams is, of course, addressing a lot of those elements into Episode 9. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very exciting for Episode 9. Now, specifically, a description of Rey entering of what's described as the Crystal Cave, which is the entrance to the Lost City, a location full of ancient Jedi statues and ruins. Eventually, Rey is said to approach the Land of Warriors, where the ancient ruins and statues are actually located, to where it leads to a moment where Rey begins to hear female voices whispering the ancient Jedi code. It's said to be similar to the sequence in The Last Jedi. The next describes Rey coming across the statue of Ahsoka Tano that stands around 60 feet high, where many of her relics are said to be within the structure, which Rey enters. One of the artifacts that Rey comes across is Ahsoka's holocron, that is shaped like a cube with a blue hue, where as Rey holds it, it begins to glow, where she begins to hear the voice of Ahsoka Tano in a whispering fashion, telling her indirectly about the ancient Jedi code and the ancient Jedi secrets. It's said that J.J. Abrams really wants to push the idea of a holocron being front and center for the plot to make casual fans familiar with a popular item in the Star Wars franchise. The last goes over where Rey stores the holocron in her large backpack as she makes her way to the Lake of Dreams. Now, what's really exciting about holocrons is that you can already see that not only are they making its way into the Star Wars films, starting off with Solo: A Star Wars Story and now Episode 9, but they are also very popular over at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge as an actual thing that you can buy and really, experiment with and interact with. And I think that the fact that they're really trying to make this a big thing to the casual fans and to new fans around the world, I think is a great way and a step in the right direction. As far as this connection between both, of course, Ahsoka Tano and Rey, where she holds the holocron of Ahsoka Tano and she hears the ancient Jedi code and the ancient Jedi secrets through the voice of Ahsoka Tano, is honestly very interesting. Now, what's really great about this movie is that we do know that there's going to be a lot of connections to Star Wars Rebels, to Star Wars The Clone Wars, to the prequels, the originals, the list goes on. And it's definitely a way in order to make Episode 9 really gravitate towards many different Star Wars fans around the world, where a lot of Star Wars fans on different mediums on the franchise are going to be attracted to this movie. So the other piece that I do want to go over is how, as she's entering the Crystal Cave, which is said to be the entrance of the Lost City, is where she begins to hear the voices, female voices reaching out to her, which may not be Ahsoka Tano at the very start, but eventually, once she holds that holocron, it is indeed the voice of Ahsoka Tano. Now, this sequence is said to be very similar to what we got in The Last Jedi, where Rey is approaching the tree library and she hears voices telling her the Jedi code. You guys may have actually heard it if you listen very carefully. It's the scene where she's following Luke Skywalker uphill. She stops, she looks behind herself, and she sees the tree library. And that's exactly where she hears the voices reaching out to her. So it's said to be a scene that's very similar to that, except it's Ahsoka Tano's voice, and once she holds this cube, once she holds the holocron, she learns ancient Jedi secrets and the ancient Jedi code. Now, this also lines directly up with what we went over a couple of weeks ago about J.J. Abrams changing the Jedi code in Star Wars Episode 9 and giving us a new set of rules, which may very well apply to the whole entire idea of Rey creating a brand new order, where, yes, the Jedi Order is already a thing of the past. It seems like that was already foreshadowed in The Last Jedi, where Luke Skywalker says, so it is time for the Jedi Order to end, and Yoda says time it is. So now, as we move into Episode 9, it's very likely that the Rise of Skywalker, at least one of the meanings of that title, could very well have to do with the Skywalker Order. After all, we do know that the Chiss called, people using the Force and stuff like that Skywalkers, so it's a very interesting thing for sure. As far as everything else goes, guys, I'm very impressed with how this movie really is going to really dive deep into Force lore, Jedi and Sith lore, and having some of these connections to Star Wars Rebels with some of the sequel trilogy characters in order to really make it come full circle in Star Wars Episode 9 to make it the best film of the sequel trilogy. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.